Hi there, welcome home. Here on Home with the Harrisons, today I am going to be making black beans and we're going to be putting them into some sweet potato and black bean chili. Today is our second installment of the Cooking with Jessie series. Hi, I'm Jessie, and I am going to start with making some black beans. Now, it always surprises me, but this is one of those recipes that people ask for the most whenever I make it for a family gathering or a bunch of friends coming over. I have a lot of vegetarian friends, and I like to make sure that there's some sort of protein that they can eat too. And I'm always surprised when people are coming up to me and asking for the recipe because it's just black beans. But, well, I don't ever use canned anymore, so there must be something special about these. Now we're going to get started with 1 pound of black beans. We're going to have some salt and pepper. We need some oregano, some chili powder, and some cumin. And for the equipment, you'll need a crock pot. Mine is about 2 quarts, but you can have something larger if you want to make more beans, or if that's just what you got. I have a little bit of a problem with loving crock pots too much. At one point, Joe, my husband, had to tell me that I was only allowed to have 2. A small one and a big one, because I have definitely had, well, I'm not going to admit how many I had, but it was more than the 2. Let's just put it that way. And the other equipment you'll need is a measuring cup of some kind. Let's get started. All right, so we are going to get these beans started. Now you'll see that I have about 1 pound of black beans in here. You're gonna wanna make sure that you pick through them and look to make sure that there aren't any stones in there. Even though they're mechanically sorted and I very rarely get any stones in my beans, I always make sure to pick through them because you don't wanna find them in your teeth. Has actually happened to me before because I forgot to pick through them once. So I'm just gonna dump this 1 pound of black beans in here. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do about a teaspoon of salt. That looks about right. You can always add a little bit more salt later. I always add salt at the beginning though, even though a lot of people say you shouldn't because the outer part of your bean will get a little tougher. In my experience, I am more likely to overcook my beans on accident than undercook them on accident. And in that case, I want the outside of my beans to be a little tougher because I don't want them to just collapse into goo. So the next thing I'm going to do is I have this all the way full to 4 cups. I don't know how much I'm going to need, but I do know that with this particular crock pot, I do need to fill it up about to the rim. So 4 cups was not quite enough for my crock pot. I'm going to add another 2 cups, I think. Let's see how much I need. Well, it was about 2 cups. So that was about 6 cups of water. Everybody's crock pot may be different. And a lot of times I don't even fill it up all the way at the beginning. I will just fill it up in order to submerge the beans. And then I will keep adding water as the beans soak the water up. Now, if you want to cook your beans a little faster than even when using a crock pot, you're going to want to soak them in clean water with a little bit of salt added overnight. That'll get them really started and get them soaking up a lot of water so that they won't have to cook as long. Most beans, you are good to go okay just cooking them straight right away without rinsing them like this. There are a few, however, that can really not be very good for your digestive system if you don't rinse them as first. Specific example is the kidney bean. So don't do this with kidney beans. If you're using kidney beans, you're going to want to soak them overnight and you're going to want to rinse them and then add clean water when you're cooking them the next day. All right, so this is going to be on high in my crock pot for about an hour or so. I'm going to keep checking on it, keep stirring, making sure that it's not burning or, sticking to the sides of the crock pot. But mostly you don't have to do a whole lot. And in a couple of hours, I'll come back and I will show you how I usually season them. So I've got these beans. They've plumped up. I would usually wait until the beans have gotten a little bit bigger and there was a little bit less liquid in the pot, but for time reasons, I'm going to spice them now. So I am going to grind some pepper. I'm not measuring it. The pepper grinder was a lovely gift from my sister-in-law and her family, and we just get like the peppercorns that you can find at Costco. Nothing really that fancy, but when you are grinding your own pepper, sometimes it can feel a little fancy, right? Then I am going to use just a little bit of oregano. I think it's about half a teaspoon of oregano. And then I am going to use quite a bit of cumin. Probably about a teaspoon and a half, maybe even a tablespoon. Yeah, we're going to go with a tablespoon. And then I'm going to do about a teaspoon of chili powder. There. And that's all that I use to season it for now. I might add a little bit more later. But this will give some of those flavors a chance to get into the beans so that they are nice and spiced when you go to eat them later.
Alright, so I was a bit of a doofus and I forgot to turn the microphone on for this part and some future segments as well. So this is my very special helper, Bart. He is my oldest and he is the one I was telling you about who had the recital today, hence the chef's hat. They tapped to the song, "If You'd Have Told Me You Were Coming Out of Baked a Cake." It was very cute. So what I'm doing here is I am just browning up the ground beef really quickly. I'm going to keep cooking it until it is mostly cooked through, and then I'm going to start adding some vegetables. I have got an onion, finely diced. I have got some peppers from our garden. I have got a sweet potato that my lovely, lovely husband chopped and peeled for me. Yes, he does it all. He is cameraman, he is video editor, and he is occasionally sous chef. So right there we were just talking about how he likes to dance, and ballet is his favorite, but he also likes tap. I'm showing you those peppers right there. I did get those out of my garden yesterday. We've got some banana peppers, like I said, and a bell pepper. Those were just the ones that were ripe, and I was able to chop finely. And we're going to add some of those, and yeah, and we're talking about how he doesn't like things that are spicy usually. There's some onions, and those are some tomatoes that I stewed from my garden. Again, I just used the crock pot to stew them overnight. Let me know if anybody wants to see how I do that, or if I could just give you guys instructions or whatever. It's super simple. It's not hard at all. Oh, and then I've got a can of those tomatoes with chilies, some garlic, some oregano, some chili powder, and some cumin powder all over there. Oh, I forgot to tell you, but yeah, there's salt and pepper in that ground beef as I'm browning it up. So now I'm adding in that onion. I'm adding in those peppers, and I'm going to add in the sweet potato as well. There it goes, right in the pan. And we're going to stir it, and we're going to cook it until everything is softened and changes color slightly. So the peppers will start to get a little color to them. The onions will get translucent. The sweet potatoes will just seem to soften a little bit. And at that point, we can come back and I will put the garlic in. Yeah. So pretty soon, that little guy is going to take off. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes, I'd say, for those onions and peppers and sweet potatoes to soften up and get ready for the next step. So, yep. Alright, so there I am. I'm stirring up the meat and onions and sweet potatoes and peppers, and I'm going to add the garlic. Now, I used pre-minced garlic. You can use your favorite pre-minced garlic, or you can mince it up yourself. I put in about a tablespoon, maybe a little more. I have a healthy love for garlic, because garlic is healthy for you. But you're not going to want to cook it for very long, maybe a minute at most. You don't want it to burn. And so you'll cook that garlic just a little bit, and then you're going to add in some of those liquid vegetables, Those tomatoes, especially liquid vegetables. Tomatoes. There goes the ones that I stewed myself. Boy, those really did turn out beautiful, didn't they? All right, so we've got our tomatoes there. The beans weren't quite ready, so I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with those. I'm going to add them in later, and we're going to see. For right now, it's okay to add those things. Oh, yes, and I'm going to add the spices now. I've got about 2 tablespoons of chili powder there. I do add another one later on because it just needed a little something. About half a teaspoon of oregano, and then about a full teaspoon of cumin. Now, as always, you should feel free to add in the proportion of spices that you think tastes the best. I like the way that proportion of spices tastes, but you can use whatever you like when it comes to the spices in your chili. This is just a guideline, as always. And as Miss Frizzle says, you can make mistakes and get messy. And that's part of the joy of cooking, is figuring out what tastes so good. Oh, these are some beans that I happen to have in my fridge, because I almost always have some spiced black beans in my fridge. We eat a lot of them. I didn't do timing very well, and the beans were not quite ready yet. So there we are. I am just stirring them in, and there's going to be about half an hour to 45 minutes that you're going to want to simmer that chili, stirring constantly. So I will see you guys soon, and next time there'll be audio.
All right, so it's been about 35 to 40 minutes since I said it would take about 40 minutes. It thickened up a little quicker than I thought it would. So we've got some nice thick gloppy chili here. I did have to add another tablespoon of chili powder because it was just tasting really bland, and so I just needed to liven it up a little bit more, and that did the trick. It tastes like delicious sweet potato chili now. I don't know if you can see or not, but I also made some cornbread. Do you know, every once in a while, like maybe this doesn't happen to you, but every once in a while I have a head for numbers, and I'll remember a recipe from like 5 or 10 years ago, and I'll be able to make it successfully even though I haven't made it that long because I just couldn't find the recipe again. Well, that's what happened today. I remembered the recipe for this cornbread that I used to make pretty often 5 or 10 years ago. So we're going to have some cornbread with our chili. I hope that you guys make some of this chili and let me know how it goes. I hope it's delicious. I know it will be for us. So again, thanks for watching, and if you make this chili, let me know how it goes. Bye, guys.